Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome inside Monin Park. It is game two of the 2022 season, a game that, let's be honest, if you were around here in New England yesterday, you're probably stunned that this game is even being played today. A beautiful March snowstorm throughout the day yesterday, coating the trees in a glorious sheen of white. But today, nice weather, snow melts, and we have baseball for you, and it's about darn time. I'm certain that the Lasell Lasers, the Beacons' opponent today, feel that way as this is their season debut. The Beacons coming off of a 10-1 drubbing of Framingham State in their last game when they set the all-time program record for strikeouts in a single game, 27 outs, 21 of them via the strikeout. And they hope to carry that pitching dominance into today, improve to 2-0 on their home field. Monin Park, of course, modeled after Fenway Park, just a few miles northwest of here in South Boston. But the Beacons and the Lasers, the two to play on this Thursday afternoon, a rescheduled of what was supposed to be the season opener back on March the 1st. 9 days later, these two teams play. We will have the second game of our rescheduled essential doubleheader coming up for you on Monday against the Engineers of MIT. Teams taking the field, we take a look at the starting lineups for Lasell, who will bat first. This is their first game of the season, so all of their numbers will be zeros, but that will change drastically. We're not going to talk too much about the numbers today. Early in the season, it's just about getting your feet under you, getting the glove to feel comfortable on the hand, and after some truncated seasons last year, trying to get a little bit of normalcy back and when it comes to baseball here in the springtime. Mac Palmer will lead things off, the center fielder, followed by Brian Bauman, Ross Audette, and Matthew Bischoff. The catcher will bat cleanup. Both teams will have their catchers as their cleanup hitters. Van Larissa, the third baseman, bats fifth, with Tyler Dineza, the DH, batting sixth. Matthew Baharik, Pierce Clare, and Devin LaPierre wrapping up the batting order. Left field, first baseman, and right fielder, respectively, the bottom three in the Laser order. Chris O'Connor will be on the mound for the Lasers today. For your UMass Boston Beacons, their starting nine as they take the field. We will show you the outfield lineup first. Left to right around the outfield, Thomas Q. In left, center fielder, Steve Brookwell. He'll bat leadoff with the right fielder, Ethan Herrera, batting ninth. Left to right around the infield, Drew Metzdorf bats third and plays third. At shortstop, Gianni Zarilli. At second base, Aiden Blake. And at first, Boston Burris. Behind the plate, the cleanup hitter, Craig Corliss. And he is catching Tim Cianciolo today with the designated hitter for your UMass Boston Beacons, R.J. Minert. The DH on the other side for Lasell is Tyler Dineza. We pause for the national anthem. Then it's first pitch time from Monin.
UMass Boston is a special place that needs and it deserves a special leader.
My mother, she saw the dark clouds that were gathering in Argentina. She became convinced that it was very important for me to seek safety in the United States.
The young man who spoke only Spanish at the time found his way to a community college in California.
And I was blessed because I could transfer to the University of California, Berkeley. I really understood the extraordinary power of the public research university.
I am very proud to recommend Marcelo Suarez Orozco be appointed Chancellor of the University of Massachusetts, Boston.
He's a person who's made it here through public education, so he becomes the personification of all that UMass can provide to our students.
Everyone's going to be excited about having him as our next chancellor.
I am grateful, I am humble, I am delighted. Muchas
While most teams
gracias.
here in New England have made the long trip south to either Florida or Texas or somewhere that are warmer and probably more comfortable confines, UMass Boston doing the odd thing, which is hosting New England baseball in March. The Beacons will head down to Texas next week, but they have a couple of rescheduled games. You got this one, you got MIT, part of a series of, I believe, 6 games in 7 days for your UMass Boston Beacons. And on the mound, Tim Cianciolo. First time we've seen him this season. Weren't sure exactly who we were going to see on the mound after the combined 21 strikeout game between Alex Amalfi, Ethan Herrera, and Dylan Ryan in that 10-1 win over the Rams just a couple of days ago. But it is Cianciolo on the mound. The right-hander, the junior, 5'11", 185 pounds, out of New Milford, Connecticut. Went to New Milford High School. And let's see what he can do against the front three for Lasell of Mac Palmer, Brian Bauman, and Ross Audette. Center fielder, second baseman, and shortstop, respectively. Mason Stauff with you. This is the Beacon Broadcast Network. You see the numbers on Cianciolo there. This is last season. 5 appearances, started 5 games, did not pick up a win. 3.86 the ERA for him in just over 23 innings. You see the strikeout to walk ratio strong, 25 Ks, just 5 base on balls, or 6 base on balls. And he's trying to come back after a UMass Boston season last year where the Beacons, in that truncated year, just played 19 games, finished with a 10-9 record, went 9-7 in LEC play. Were led by Craig Corliss in his .361 batting average. Corliss today catching and batting cleanup. Mac Palmer digs in first for Lasell. This is the first game of the season for the Lasers in their sky blue uniforms. More of a baby blue, with the white numbers on the back trimmed in black, making the short trip to UMass Boston, Monin Park today. Right-handed pitcher, left-handed batter. Let's play ball from Monin Park. Squaring to bunt, pulling back. Going to give a ball? Are they going to say, I think it is a ball. Wasn't sure if that was tipped. Tried to pull the bat back, and it looks like he did so successfully. 1-0 the count on the fastball. We'll see if he squares the bunt a second time on the delivery from Cianciolo. He does not. Checks his swing. They point down to the third baseline, but there is no one there to make the call. Umpiring crew, just the 2-man umpiring crew right now, with the man behind home plate and one down the first baseline. So a left-handed batter, that's going to be up to the home plate umpire to make that call. 2 balls, 1 strike. That man in black down the third baseline is not the umpire. That's the third base coach for this Lasell team. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cianciolo trying to pick up where his compatriots left off in that 21K day. And he does, blazing a fastball past Mac Palmer. 1 up, 1 down here in the first for Lasell. Ryan Bauman, second baseman, steps into the batter's box. First right-handed hitter of the day. Sophomore, 5'9", out of Deerfield. Takes fastball, slotting it just to the right side of home plate. Catching plenty of it for strike 1 called from the home plate umpire. Kicks and deals off speed, just off the outside corner to the right-handed hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lasell, led by third-year head coach Billy Uberti, was a Laser himself, graduated back in 2014, associated by Connor Kavanagh, another Lasell grad. In fact, the entirety of this coaching staff for the Lasell Lasers played baseball at Lasell. Billy Uberti, class of 2014, Kavanagh, class of 2012, and their pitching coach and recruiting coordinator, Gary Trottier, in his second year, but he was a 2016 grad. So Lasell keeping it in-house, keeping the alumni close on their coaching staff. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Cianciolo kicks, delivers, strike 3. Same exact result as the first batter, same pitch, just a little bit higher. But Bauman does the exact thing that Palmer did and strikes out swinging. Ross Audette digs in. That is now the 23rd strikeout in 29 outs retired for UMass Boston pitching this season. It is still early in the season, very early, just game 2, but that is an impressive statistic. Goes off speed, clips the outside corner, strike 1. It is a beautiful Thursday afternoon here in Boston. Woke up this morning to about an inch or 2 of beautiful snow cover. That has melted away in this high 40s, low 50-degree day. Perfect for baseball. Something that we didn't necessarily expect to get. 0-2, swung on, hit high. This should make the seats. The leader, Craig Corliss, giving it a look before watching it go out of play. Mentioned that this Monin Park is, of course, a spitting image outside of the height of the Green Monster, which is more of a clear monster out and left. The height is different, but the dimensions are the same. So you got the 420-foot triangle out in right center. This one chopped to third, handled pretty easily, thrown across the diamond, and retiring Bischoff. Make it Audette. 1, 2, 3. Go the Lasell Lasers in the first as no problem over the third base bag. Metzdorf firing across to Burris to retire the side. Beacons coming up. We'll take a 30-second break, come back. Beacons and Lasell. No score early. Up for the Beacons, home half of the first inning. Going up against Chris O'Connor for this Lasell Lasers team. O'Connor getting his team's opening day start, which is always an honor. Doesn't matter if you are a professional, collegiate athlete, or a high schooler. You start your team's opening day. That has to feel good. You are the prospective ace of your squad if you do that. So Chris O'Connor, the 6-foot graduate student out of Duxbury, 198-pounder. Righty takes the mound, and he will be going up against this starting 9 for UMass Boston. Steve Brookwell to lead things off, followed by Thomas Q, Drew Metzdorf, who fired across the diamond to end the away half of the first. Craig Corliss leads things behind the plate, and he bats cleanup, hitting just high of 370 last season in that 19-game year. Then Aiden Blake, the second baseman, number 9, bats 5th. R.J. Menert doing the DHing today. Boston Burris, Gianni Zarilli Jr., and Ethan Herrera closing out things 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup. Just great to have baseball back. Mentioned the truncated season last year for UMass Boston, so an opportunity to get the full complement of games in this year. And that's going to be big for this UMass Boston team, as it has been such a crazy couple of years, with 2020, of course, being the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, but last year was still majorly impacted. And now you come back this season and hope that there is some semblance of return to normalcy, and with a lot of the restrictions in place, mask mandates and vaccine mandates going away. It doesn't mean that they're any less important, but they are going away. Hopefully we can have full fans here in the stands at Monin Park for the entirety of the 2022 season. Started off well back on Monday. with that 10-1 win over Framingham State. Can they back it up today over Lasell? And Brookwell gets punked. First pitch of the day, and he gets plunked. And he will head down to first. Well, there's always lots of nerves. I told you, being the ace, being the guy that starts on the leadoff day, well, got all those images in your head of firing that first pitch strike, and you get a little bit over antsy, and then you plunk the guy. And so heading down to first base on the hit by pitch is Brookwell, and brings in Thomas Q, the left fielder, who immediately squares to bunt. Third baseman crouching in. They're going to call a strike. He pulled the bat back, and that is a high strike call from the home plate umpire. Makes it no balls and a strike. Swung on and darted down the left field line, foul. Getting out of the way, the third base coach for your UMass Boston Beacons. Meet the coaching staff. It is a very familiar one for UMass Boston, with Brendan Egebroat in charge of UMass Boston, as always. In his now 18th year, originally a graduate of Mary Washington back in 2001. Assisted with Brad Fogel, Justin Kelly, Jackie Reynolds, Corey Allard, Willie Allen, Barry Bell, and Nick Lepore as the student assistant coach. Swung on, in on the knuckles. Count 0-2 to Thomas Q. Q, the third baseman, 6'1", senior out of Shrewsbury. Runner takes off. This one hooked foul, out of play over the high fence down left field and into the track and onto the Boston High, BC High football field, as well as the UMass Boston lacrosse and soccer fields. Remains 0-2. Leading off of first is Brookwell after the hit by pitch on the very first pitch thrown by O'Connor. This one catches the outside corner. Q doesn't like it, and he gets the backwards K, first out of the inning, recorded by Lasell. In steps Drew Metzdorf, coming off of a 1-for-3 day, but he did have 2 RBI, 4 total bases against Framingham State. Metzdorf with the 2 RBIs. Craig Corliss had 2. Aiden Blake led the way with 3, including that home run. There were 2 homers as this one gets through the legs of the catcher. That's going to be a pass ball. There was a long turn made by Steve Brookwell, but he makes the right decision, just holds it second. No real benefit to trying to take third, even though it was a fairly slow trundle by Matthew Bischoff to go and pick up that baseball. As a coach, especially early in the season, everything's got to be a lot more crisp. You want to run to every ball, hustle. It's supposed to be fun out there. That was a little bit of a too slow of a walk, even allowing the player to think about taking third on that play. Swung on and hit back. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 man retired in the bottom of the first. UMass Boston and Lasell, game 2 of the season for your Beacons, just the first of the year for the Lasers. Another foul ball taken back into the netting. On deck, Craig Corliss. Even early in the game, this is a big batter for Lasell. You do not want to get to Corliss with multiple runners on base and less than 2 out. That is where he can do some major damage early in a baseball game. Look back, now the delivery, swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with the rising fastball away, and just unable to lay off it was Metzdorf. Second out of the inning, so both teams have had their first 2 batters that have been retired as strikeouts. Beacons going 1-2-3 in the away half, and now with a runner in scoring position, now 2 men out for Craig Corliss. Inside for ball 1 to Corliss. Craig 6'1" senior out of Hopkinton, the transfer from Siena College out in Albany, New York. And he rips this one to center. They are sending the runner. Here comes Brookwell. He will score as the throw is cut off. First baseman was the one that cut it off, so even despite the big turn, no problem for Corliss. He gets the RBI, and the Beacons lead it by a score of 1-0. Picking up right where he left off from his outstanding 2021 season, and was 2 for 5 in game 1 with 2 RBIs. He picks up his 3rd RBI of the season here. This one is called a strike to the number 5 hitter, Aiden Blake. Because of the passed ball, this run is actually still unearned at the moment. One more batter reaches base, it would be an earned run. But right now, effectively, if you're scoring at home, there should be runners on 1st and 3rd. Throw over to check on Craig Corliss after that RBI single. This one, change up. Oh, thought that was in the zone, but they're going to rule it passed over home plate high. So Brookwell gets the opening run of the game on the RBI single from Corliss. UMass Boston struck early against Framingham State as well. 5-run middle inning was the big blow that got them well out in front, and they cruised to that 10-1 victory on the back of 21 strikeouts from their pitching staff. Alex Amalfi had 9 of them. Dylan Ryan had 9, with Ethan Herrera having 3. As this one's lifted into the gap, it is going to make its way down off the wall. Pings off the triangle. That's going to score at least 1. Going all the way to 3rd and diving in there safely is Aiden Blake with a sliding triple. Could have gone in standing as it was cut off by the shortstop. But that is the fun of Monin Park. It is a long way out there, but you still have to read the wall correctly. It basically hit right where the triangle starts, and Lasell probably happy about that. If it hits the left side of that, caroms into the triangle, we could be looking at an inside the park homer here. Corliss scores all the way from 1st easily. Aiden Blake now stands on 3rd base after his RBI triple. This one, they get him! Very close play at 1st base, as swinging at the first pitch was Menert. But regardless, the Beacons score twice. 2 runs on 2 hits. It now becomes an earned run because of the triple. And after 1 inning of play, 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and just the 1 man left. We come back on the other side, top of the 2nd, Beacons 2 and Lasell nothing.
My mother, she saw the dark clouds that were gathering in Argentina. She became convinced that it was very important for me to seek safety in the United States.
The young man who spoke only Spanish at the time found his way to a community college in California.
And I was blessed because I could transfer
Top of the
to
2nd
the
inning
University of California.
here at Monin Park.
I really
Beacons
understood
jumping
the
out to the
extraordinary
2-0
power
lead on
of
the
the
back of an
public
RBI
research
single from
university.
Craig
I am very
Corliss, followed
proud
by
to
an
recommend
RBI triple
Marcelo
from Aiden Blake
Flores
out into the
Orozco
triangle in
be
right
appointed
center.
Chancellor of the
Aiden
University
Blake
of
is our
Massachusetts,
player to
Boston.
watch today
He's the
for
person who's
UMass
made
Boston.
it here through public education.
Last
so he
game
becomes the
against Framingham
personification
State,
of all
those
that
3
UMass
at-bats,
can provide
2
to our
hits,
students.
1 run
It's great
scored,
to have
the
a
3 runs
world-class
batted in to
chancellor
lead
in a
the way for
world-class
UMass Boston,
city.
including the homer.
To go after
In
a
his
giant.
career,
And that's what
averaging
Miami
just above
did.
200,
Everyone's gonna be excited
270
about
on
having
the
him
average,
as our next
19
chancellor.
runs, 17 runs batted in, add a couple more, or at least add 1 more to that tally. Multiple extra base hits, and that one may be the cream of the crop as he drove that one deep into right center. Pulls that one to left side, and that might be gone, but that one was in the air for what seemed like an eternity, then hit exactly where that right center field triangle begins, got past the center fielder. It's so difficult. Anyone who watches Red Sox baseball, and I'm no Red Sox fan, but I have tremendous appreciation for anyone who plays center field for the Boston Red Sox. Jackie Bradley Jr. doing it expertly for years, playing all the different dynamics and angles of that center field area. So difficult to do. Any outfield position in Boston is no easy feat to play, whether you're out in left dealing with the monster, the right dealing with the pesky pole, or in center dealing with the triangle. It is a tough, tough ask. That's part of the draw of coming to Monin Park, is you get to effectively play at Fenway with all the same dimensions, including your own mini monster out and left. But now, no such happiness right now for the outfield pairing for Lasell, who got beat as that one came off the wall on the drive from Blake. 1 ball and 1 strike in there to the cleanup hitter, Matthew Bischoff. He had the pass ball in the first inning that allowed the advancing runner, Steve Brookwell, to get to second. He'd come around to score on the Corliss single. And he swings and misses. A weak one, tried to hold up, but no such luck doing so. And it's 1 out here in the second. 3 strikeouts, all swinging out of 4 outs, recorded by Cianciolo. Vaughn Larissa steps in, third baseman wearing number 8. One of the few true freshmen making the start today, as typically collegiate baseball is heavily favored toward the more veteran players. Of all the sports, it probably involves the most transfers as well, as you have players that will come from different divisions, different schools, make the JUCO move, as many do. So to see the true freshman in the starting lineup on opening day is something that doesn't happen too often. As this one, low and away on the fastball from Cianciolo. But Larissa out of Lincoln, Rhode Island, as you would expect, both these teams heavily based here in the New England area for their hometowns. 3-0. Catches the outside corner, just fastball, taking the whole way, was Vaughn Larissa. Has to feel good for Cianciolo. Comes out there for the second inning. His offense has already given him a 2-0 lead. Has battled back to make this count full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. He's heavily favored the fastball in these payoff pitches, trying to dare Lasell to get them, and they have not been able to do so. We'll see if he goes fastball or goes breaking pitch. He goes fastball, gets him. Just throws the high cheese. And Lasell has no answer. Just as Framingham State did not, neither does Lasell. That's a strikeout swinging. That's the 4th of the day. And if you're counting again, that's now 25 strikeouts on 32 total outs by UMass Boston pitching. And, Cianciolo tumbles off the mound, slams his glove to the ground. And they call time, and grabbing his glute, trying to figure out exactly what he hurt. He's calling for the baseball back from Corliss, but he tumbles off the mound. That mound was, of course, covered over the last 24 hours through the snow, but looks like he's okay. Looks like just a misstep, trying to find his hole. Pitcher's all about rhythm and landing in the same place every single time, unless, of course, that's your mojo and your gimmick is actually not landing in the same place. There are some pitchers that can actually land in multiple different spots, depending on how they want to deliver their pitch, but most want to find the exact same hole in the ground every single time. You'll see them dig them out there when they go to the mound, and what's funny is you'll see other pitchers, you'll dig your hole, then the opposing pitcher will go out there the next half inning and fill in the hole, and dig his own. And they'll trade digging holes as the game goes on. A little bit of gamesmanship, but also just trying to find the same place and that same rhythm every single time. 1 ball, 1 strike. No problem there. Floods it in there for strike 2. 2 men out in the second inning. 4 strikeouts already, all swinging for Tim Cianciolo. He kicks, fires this one out of the zone. Corliss snags it. Right-handed catcher, as most are. Deuces wild, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. In the top of the second, the delivery. Just getting a piece of it and tipping it off of Corliss's glove is Tyler Dineza. Dineza, another freshman from Cranston, Rhode Island. In the full stretch. That's, just low. This umpire has called the high strike. That's usually where Cianciolo has gone to get his putouts, but then tried to go on the lower third of the plate and didn't get the call. Count is full. The righty delivers. Strike 3 gets him on the inside corner. First backwards K of the day, but it's the same exact result. 3 up, 3 down, 5 strikeouts for Tim Cianciolo. To the bottom of the second we go. Beacons 2, Lasers nothing. Nice upbeat tune for an outstanding start to this baseball game for UMass Boston pitching. And it's more of the same if you tuned in to watch the game against Framingham State on Monday. 21 strikeouts in 27 outs. And right now, Tim Cianciolo has 5 strikeouts through 6. 4 of them swinging, the last one looking. Bottom 3 in the order, Boston Burris, Gianni Zarillo, and Ethan Herrera to face off against Chris O'Connor in the bottom of the second. Strike 1 called, bending down to bunt Burris, and by the end of it, only standing about 2.5 feet off the ground as he went basically to full crouch, trying to buy that pitch as a ball, and did not do so successfully. Checks his swing there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Boston Burris, sophomore out of Highland Village, Texas. Beacons are headed down to Texas next week. Not sure how close they're getting to Highland Village, but Beacons will make the almost habitual road trip that all New England teams must take down to warmer, sunnier confines next week for a 4-game set against Concordia University of Texas. Swung on and missed. Strike 3 as Boston Burris heads down swinging. Gianni Zarilli Jr. steps in, the shortstop. Another right-handed bat for the Beacons. Zarilli Out of South Glastonbury, Connecticut, attended Glastonbury High, just about 10 minutes away from my original hometown of Wethersfield. Huge baseball school, Glastonbury as well. So it takes a lot to star in any sport at Glastonbury High, one of the biggest schools in the state of Connecticut, which I know doesn't sound like much coming from a very small school, as he ropes this one to left through the gap between short and third. And waiting no time at all, Zerilli heads down to first with the one-out single. Ethan Herrera brings up the bottom of the order. Right fielder trying to turn over the lineup card to Steve Brookwell, who got plunked on the very first pitch of the baseball game, at least the home side of the baseball game, and would eventually come around to score. Herrera out of Newington, Connecticut, right down the road from Glastonbury. Takes strike one on the fastball from O'Connor. Haven't seen O'Connor get away from the fastball too much. Then again, we really haven't seen Cianciolo do that either, but Cianciolo has been picking his spots particularly well, especially above the strike zone, getting batters to chase. Runner goes, throw down to second is not even close. That's the one benefit. When you're one of the players at the bottom of the order, you don't typically get on as much. That's why you're at the bottom of the order. But if you do, the bottom order guys almost always have speed. And Zerilli Jr. showing it off there as he moves into scoring position with less than 2 out. 0-2 the count on Herrera. Let's see if he can protect. Has a decent hole between second and first. And now the shortstop is going to have to at least keep an eye on Zerilli at second. And so there's a decent hole as well between short and third. Herrera. Tight to the plate in that batter's box. I'm surprised he didn't step out. That was a long wait, and it ends up costing him as he swings through strike three. So sent down on 3 pitches is Herrera. That is the 4th strikeout of the day for Chris O'Connor. Difference, of course, between him and Cianciolo being that he's also allowed a few hits and 2 runs. Steve Brookwell, top of the order, second time at bat in as many innings. And he has a runner on second and 2 men out now. That one just catches the outside corner. Tough. That was not necessarily well framed by the catcher, Bischoff. But the umpire giving the benefit of the doubt. Four straight strikes delivered by pitching for Lasell. Changeup does not catch the zone. Tried to back it in there, but couldn't find the backdoor entrance. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 men out on this gorgeous Thursday afternoon here just south of the great city of Boston. That is a strike. Brookwell got chased off the plate, but it just caught the inside corner. Unable to get that call from the home plate umpire, and 1 strike away is O'Connor from getting out of this without any damage. The 1-2. Long look back at second base. Shortstop coming in behind, doesn't go for it. Swung on and missed in the dirt. And he strikes out the side in the second inning. So the single from Zerilli does not do any damage. 3 strikeouts, all swinging, of Burris, Herrera, and Brookwell sends the Beacons down in their home half of the second. We head to the third. After 2, it's the Beacons 2 and Lasell 0. We head to inning number 3 at Monin Park on this Thursday. Beacons up 2 to the good. Mason Stauff on the call. Mentioned that the Beacons will be headed down to Texas next week, but because of all the moving parts, we still have a lot more baseball to come before that road trip down to Concordia. Tomorrow afternoon, it'll be a 4 o'clock first pitch time for a doubleheader with the Hornets of University of Northern Vermont Linden. And then it'll be the makeup game with MIT on Monday at 3 before the Beacons load up the plane, fly down to Texas where they'll face 4 against Concordia between Thursday and Saturday of next weekend. And then they'll be back here on March 22nd. That's a Tuesday against Johnson and Wales. This one chopped to second, easily handled. Throwing on to first to retire the player. Aiden Blake over to Burris. Swinging at the first pitch, Baharik, but doesn't do anything. You get the feeling, is that the way for Lasell? Is that the only option that they're going to have? Do we go after pitches early? Because once we've gotten down in the count to Cianciolo, he has retired us with upstairs fastball after upstairs fastball. Still in that first go-through on the order as it's 7 up, 7 down to this point. Now into the 8th spot, Pierce Clare. Where's number 3 for this Lasell team? Pierce Clare, 6 foot out of Middletown, Rhode Island. Mentioned this is the first game of the season for Lasell, so not too much to report in terms of numbers, but we'll, as the game goes on, give you some numbers from last season. But that's still difficult, as a lot of these players have certainly grown and developed over the course of the last off season. Many of them, of course, transferring in as well. As always the case with baseball, just getting to know all the new faces is no easy feat. Pierce Clare, the true freshman. The bottom half of this Lasell order is jam-packed with first-year players. Mentioned how rare that can tend to be. 1-2 pitch from Cianciolo. Gets him inside, nearly caught a piece of him, but it's just a piece of the glove of Corliss. Count draws level. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 man out in inning number 3. Second game of the season for your UMass Boston Beacons, and the pitching has starred to this point. Not to discount from what is now 12 runs to just 1 allowed, but the pitching, and particularly finding the strike zone, has been outstanding. This one a backwards K. Second one of that variety for Tim Cianciolo, and he is looking to get through the order in its entirety without a blemish. Devin LaPierre will wrap things up in this first go-around of the order. Another freshman, this one from Dover, New Hampshire. Last year, this Lasell team went 8-19. They only played 6 home games the entirety of the year. They went 4-13 away from friendly confines. As this pitch, check swing, goes off the knob of the bat, right in on the wrists, and fouled off down the third baseline. 1 strike away from getting through the third 1-2-3. Charlie Danaher led things for Lasell last season. Hit .426, 61 at bats, 26 hits. Bauman was probably their 3rd best hitter, Audette their 4th, as they had 4 players hit above 300. But nobody hitting anything today. Another K, another backwards K for Cianciolo. 9 up, 9 down for the Lasers. We head to the bottom of the 3rd, 2-0, UMass Boston. When your pitchers are finding the strike zone, everything else seems just so much easier. Called plenty of teams involved in plenty of high-scoring games, and you can hit all you want, but if your pitchers can't find the zone, it makes life so much more difficult. The Beacons, early in the season, are just pouring strikes, locating their pitches, and it has resulted in some absolutely astonishing stat lines through the first now 1 1/3 games. 21 strikeouts and 27 against the Rams of Framingham State on Monday, and through this one, 2 strikeouts in the first, 3 in the second, and 2 in the third for Tim Cianciolo. Not a single ball has been lifted into the air. We've had 2 groundouts and 7 strikeouts to this point. So after setting the all-time record with 21 and 27 outs on Monday, we are on pace for the exact same total of 21 strikeouts for the full 9-inning game. Is that sustainable? Normally I would say no, but the way the Beacons are pitching, you just pass it on to the next guy. And the next guy wants to get on with it as well and take that momentum from the previous pitcher. So it's so difficult to see this ending, as this one is a fair ball down the left field line, all the way into the corner. Just gets in front of the mini monster and is going to be grabbed in and cut off by the shortstop. But it is a leadoff double here in the second inning for Thomas Q, one of the returning members for this UMass Boston team. Thomas Q last season, one of 4 players on the Beacon roster to hit above 300, hit 22 of 71. Wasn't known as the slugger of the bunch, as of his 22 hits, just 2 went for extra bases, and this one was more placement than power, as it just bounces over the third base bag, goes all the way down into that left field corner. And it was an easy stand-up double for Thomas Q. Drew Metzdorf digs in. Where's the number 4 that was occupied by Curtis Tyrone last year? Tyrone second to only Craig Corliss in batting average at .319 in the 2021 season. Beacons went 10-9, 3-5 here at Monin Park, 6-3 away from home with 2 neutral field games, of which they went 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike to the number 3 hitter Metzdorf. Runner in scoring position once again, 3 straight innings. Beacons have had runners in scoring position, at least one of them with less than 2 out. They were able to push 2 across in the first. Brookwell scoring on the RBI single from Corliss, who was then plated by a triple all the way to right center by Blake. This one, another plunk, second time of the day that a Beacon batter has headed down to first on a hit by pitch. This time it's Metzdorf. So Brookwell's been hit. Metzdorf has been hit. And this is the last thing you want for Lasell. It's still early in the baseball game. You haven't been able to get anything going offensively. And now you have runners on first and second, nobody out, and the best hitter on the baseball field digging in. Craig Corliss hit .361 last year, has an RBI single, 3 runs batted in already this season. Waggles the bat over the right shoulder, swings, drives it right at a line drive. Could this be a double play? It is! A little unlucky from Corliss. He got it right at the sweet spot of the bat, tried to drive it into the gap. And they double off Thomas Q. 6-4 on the force is what that goes down as, with a line out to the second baseman. 4-6, excuse me. Reverse that number around. And so Craig Corliss gave it a ride, but right at the second baseman, who was well positioned. And just like that, as the runner takes off, no throw down to second. So the Beacons still want to get that runner into scoring position. Metzdorf steals second as Aiden Blake steps in. We highlighted him about an inning and a half ago and how strong his start to the season has been with that home run and 3 runs batted in on Monday. Has another one already to his total today with the RBI triple as he calls for time. It feels the way that the Beacons have played in this game. Yes, it's only the third inning, but they've hit well and they've pitched magnificently. A 2-0 lead almost doesn't feel justified. And sometimes that's just how baseball works. You can pitch as great as you can and feel like you're dominating offensively as well. But it just takes one little drop in the pond to tip the scales. And Lasell got to get out of this inning. First and second, nobody out with Corliss at bat, and you get out with no runs allowed. That is a huge win for the Lasers. Just tapped on the foul ball. Now 1 strike away is O'Connor from getting out of this. Long look again from O'Connor. I think he's just waiting for someone to call time, and eventually they do. Lasell is in Newton with traffic right now, about 35 minutes away. Out just south of Waltham. The 1-2. Eventually, here it comes. Strike 3 in the dirt. That's the second time they've got a Beacon chasing down low. O'Connor's getting the strikeouts too. Not nearly as readily as Cianciolo, but it's done the job. He has sent the Beacons down for the second straight inning scoreless. Just the one hit and the hit by pitch. One man left on base. Off to the fourth. Beacons 2, Lasell nothing. Lasell getting out of trouble for the second straight inning. Runner on second base, less than 2 out. They get out of it. This is only the first game of the season. They've had a couple of games postponed. After this, as UMass Boston still has a couple more days before they head down to Texas, Lasell says, adios, New England. I'm heading down to Florida. They will take on Pitt Bradford in a doubleheader on Sunday morning. Sunday at 9 and Sunday at 12 down in Fort Myers, Florida. And then they will follow that up with a couple more games against Defiance in a doubleheader Monday. Wisconsin Stout, the Blue Devils, on Tuesday before they take on St. Michael's, D2 school out of northern Vermont, normally out of the Northeast 10, at noon on Wednesday. Wisconsin Stout on Thursday, and then a doubleheader against Skidmore, who, of course, UMass Boston fans are well familiar if you follow the hockey side of things, on Saturday. So a full week down in Fort Myers, Florida, where they will play 9 games in a week or so. They will then come all the way back. They play their home games not on campus in Newton, but at Brandeis University in Waltham. So friendly confines for Lasell. Sadly does not mean home at Newton. It is at Brandeis. And after that long trip in Fort Myers, Florida, they'll take on Emerson in what is effectively their first home game of the year on Thursday, the 24th. Swung on and missed. We are back to the top of the order. Mac Palmer went down swinging in the first. Can't feel too bad for him because everybody else has pretty much done the same. 1 ball, 1 strike. That one's right down the middle. That's the hard part. When you've located your pitches so well in the upper part of the zone, the batter doesn't even know what to swing at anymore, so you throw one right down the middle, batter freezes on it. Cianciolo. Another one? Yep, absolutely. Palmer had no idea whether to swing or not. Ends up getting the half swing. Counts all the same. Strikeout number 8 for Cianciolo. What's astonishing is that he's really done it with pure location. His speed is not overpowering. You will see harder throwers. Even at the D3 level, you'll see guys that throw harder than Cianciolo. And he hasn't necessarily mixed up his pitches in terms of throwing the changeups and curves, slider, any of that stuff. But he has thrown absolutely impeccable location on his fastballs, which effectively can turn a bunch of different things. And they have different tails on them. That one's right down the middle, too. It's just astonishing to watch in Lasell. That it's almost rubbing salt in the wound, because you know it's a fastball. You know it's going to be right around the strike zone, and you can't hit it. 0-2, strike 3. That one had a little slide to it. So uses the fastball effectively and then throws a hard sinking slider away. And now you think you've got it figured out. You're like, okay, 0-2 pitch. He's typically gone up with the fastball. Nope, he goes away with the breaking ball low, and that's just not fair. Strikeout number 9 for Cianciolo. Ross Audette. You get the feeling you got to go for those early pitches. You cannot fall behind. But it hasn't mattered for Cianciolo. He is trying to get to double-digit strikeouts. 2 of the 3 pitchers the Beacons threw against Framingham State had 9. He's trying to get 10 through 4. And he's got it. Bottom drops out of the pitch. And he motors into the dugout after what is one of the more impressive 4-inning performances you can see. 12 up, 12 down, 10 via the strikeout. Beacons lead it after 3.5, 2-0. While others may count sheep as they go to sleep, the Beacons are going to be counting K's. That strikeout, number 31 on the season. New pitcher for Lasell takes the hill. Get the name and number on that. That's Tom Coakley. So Chris O'Connor goes 3 innings and then turns it over to Coakley. So we will get O'Connor and his numbers shortly. Shouldn't be too difficult to do. But for Tim Coakley, the 5'9" sophomore out of Acton, can't say that O'Connor didn't do enough of a job. He got the 2 runs in the first inning that he allowed, but he was able to calm the ship in that second and third inning. Still gave up runners in scoring position, but got out of it both times. And that's the thing. As well as Cianciolo has pitched, 2-0 is not an insurmountable lead by any stretch of the imagination. This is the part of the game where UMass Boston took it to Framingham State, had the 5-run inning in the middle third, and extended the lead out to 10-0 at one point and really put that game to bed. Lasell is still hanging in there. They have not been able to do anything offensively, but you get the feeling just one hit maybe will wake up the bats. Easier said than done, of course. R.J. Minert, the number 6 man, the designated hitter, swings at the first pitch, and that has been where UMass Boston has made their money today, down that left side. Except for the triple, they have pushed multiple hits, the double down the left field line last inning, couple of hits, singles through that left side gap between the shortstop and third baseman. Boston Burris with a runner on. UMass Boston has shown a willingness to run as well. Drew Metzdorf stealing a base last inning. Had a player advance on a pass ball. Zerilli stole as well. So Beacon's willing to be very active on the base paths, particularly as you get toward the bottom third of this order, trying to get players in the right spots for their top guys. Heavy leadoff, diving back in time, is R.J. Menert. Don't necessarily figure a designated hitter to be the guy to run. Menert, no small slouch either, as he leads off first base, but you never know. This could surprise some people. Would be shocked, but hey, maybe that's the whole ploy. They throw back over to first base again. A long look by the umpire, currently shading just to the right of the pitcher's mound as we view it. R.J. Menert, he's 6'3", 235. If he's taking second base, well, that shows more aggressiveness than I think I'd be willing to do. But you never know. Hey, if he steals second base, I'm taking him and I'm putting him in the NFL Combine that just finished and seeing what his 40 time is. He's taken that heavy lead, though, and it is clearly impacting the mind of the hurler for Lasell. Looks in, delivers from the stretch. Right up the middle. Could this be two? There is one. There is not two. It gets away from the first baseman. They're going to give an error on the throw. You know the first baseman in any situation wants to handle it. So he is not going to be given the error. They're going to give it to the shortstop. So the E6 is going to be given to Ross Audette. Regardless, Boston Burris is on second base. 0 for 1 of the fielder's choices. This one's ripped to right. Long run, settling under it. The right fielder makes the play. Runner tags. Burris will advance to third without a throw. So Zerilli swings at the first pitch, gives it a ride out to right field. And that is the end of Zerilli's at-bat. Ethan Herrera, the 9-hitter, has an opportunity with a runner on third and 2 men out. Thrown in the dirt by Tim Coakley. High kick. Coakley throws another one in the dirt. I say the dirt, of course. The artificial turf. That is the entirety of this ball field here at Monin Park. 2-0. This one gets away. Karam's off the umpire. Beacons are going to make it 3-0. Boston Burris dives in there. It was down low. Catcher probably should have handled it, though, and it looks like a passed ball will be the call to make it 3-0 UMass Boston. Ball 4 will send Ethan Herrera down to first on the walk. We've had 2 hit batsmen, but we have not had any walks in this game until now. But the inning continues. Steve Brookwell will head out there. Another one out of the zone. Say what you want about Chris O'Connor. He was throwing strikes. Beacons got to a couple of them Tim Coakley's had a little bit more difficulty finding the strike zone, particularly over the last couple of batters. Lead has stretched out to 3. The way Cianciolo's pitching, probably won't need too much more, but you have a hard time believing that as that one throw down to first. Back in time successfully is Herrera. But usually in these early season games, as this one's in the dirt, runner was taking a huge lead and takes off and takes second without a throw. Wild pitch advances Ethan Herrera. He was definitely taking a big lead, but I don't think he was going to take the full bag unless that exact thing happened. The ball and the turf are getting well acquainted over the last 2 at-bats, as Coakley is burying some pitches and the Beacons are content to just let him go by, and in the case of that passed ball, let it go by for a run. 3 balls and a strike. This one, just catches the inside corner. Full count. Sometimes you see that pitch called a strike in a much different scoreline type of game than this. 3-0. It feels like the Beacons are in full control, but 3-0, as any baseball fan knows, that's not the safest lead ever. This one's in the dirt, gets away. Runner trying to get down to first base. It one's bounced in there, but it does the job as Steve Brookwell strikes out to end the 4th. The Beacons score 1 run, just the 1 hit. The 1 error as well. 1 runner left on base. So 1's across the board on the read through. As we head to the 5th, it is the Beacons with a 3-run lead. As Tom Petty plays here at Monin Park, Beacons pitching is not only learning to fly, they are soaring. Through the first 13 innings of the season, they have struck out 31 opposing batters. Whether it was Rams or Lasers, nobody has been able to touch the Beacons to this point. They lead at 3-0. Tim Cianciolo, 10 strikeouts through 12 retired. Matthew Bischoff, cleanup hitter, tries to be the first to crack the puzzle. 12 up, 12 down to this point for the Beacons hurler. Doesn't have to get too much of a sign from the catcher. He knows what he wants, and he's been locating it. This one, up and in, swung on and missed on the fastball. It's a game of absolute centimeters. Couple inches or a couple centimeters higher, and that is an absolutely awful pitch to swing at. Nobody would swing at it. Couple centimeters lower, just teases the hitter and goes for it and has no chance. No balls, 2 strikes, another 2 swung on and missed. This one just off the outside corner, but what a setup pitch that is. Beacons fans want it as a strike, but frankly, Cianciolo doesn't care because now he's opened up the outside of the plate, can go back inside on the breaking pitch. Yep, There it is. And this one finally gets through the infield. Had the breaking pitch, tried to dig it inside, but couldn't get it enough inside. And finally, Lasell has a base runner. It's Matthew Bischoff, the catcher, who breaks the perfecto. Still plenty early. So to say that that was in play was a bit of a stretch, but still, your heart sinks a little bit every time it goes away. So runner on first for Lasell. First base runner of the day. Brings in Vaughn Larissa. Gets out of the zone. Sun still high in the sky. We're getting closer and closer to daylight savings time as well. And then we'll really be able to play baseball without the lights deeper and deeper into the night as we get into the springtime and into the early summer even. Could be a double play. There's one, there's two. Nice and routine. 6-4-3 double play. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, the 6-4-3 double play. Nice and routine. And even though the base runner got on, quickly erased, and it is still 14 up and effectively 14 down. 2 men out in the fifth. Strike one taken by Tyler Daneza. Tyler Daneza, DH, just tips it off the outstretched part of the bat. Don't have the advanced statistics. Sorry about that, fans. But boy, the number of 0-2 counts, if you could count that and have that stat readily available, it's been astonishing. Timeout called by Cianciolo. Now he steps back on the hill. Out of the stretch. Make that the windup. Excuse me. This one tails away. Out of the zone to the left-handed hitter, Daneza. Daneza starts that long run of true freshman. The delivery just gets a piece. Again, even that one that looks like it's down the middle, batter's trying to figure out where to be positioned in the batter's box to make contact, and that one was even in on the hands by the end of it. They're behind on the fastball. They can't see the height when he delivers. That one had some knuckle on it down and away. This one's going to carry out a play. He really hasn't needed to use the breaking pitch. When he has, it's been effective. Tried to use it there. It was the breaking pitch that surrendered the one hit as he tried to throw a slider inside. It just couldn't bury it enough. But that was quickly erased by the double play. Another 1-2. Just low. A couple of beacons looked like they were about to head toward the dugout, but that one was low. Might have been just about an inch or two inside as well. To make this an official game. That'll do it. Right down the first baseline. Snagged and touching the bag without too much issue is Boston Burris. 5 full for Ciancio. He gives up just the one hit in that inning. That's erased by the double play. And 15 batters have come to the plate. And he has faced the minimum through 5. Halfway through this ball game, the Beacons 3 and Lasell 0. into the game for Lasell is C.J. Mills. We've been able to close the book now on both Chris O'Connor and Tim Coakley. So O'Connor went 3 innings, struck out 6, did not walk anybody, though he did hit 2 batters. Surrendered 4 hits, 2 runs, both earned. Then Tim Coakley came in just through the 1 inning, faced 4, struck out 1, walked 1, surrendered a hit, 1 run through the 1 wild pitch. And then there was also the pass ball that allowed the runner to score. Beacons 3 runs on 6 hits, no errors, leading Lasell University no runs on 1 hit, the 1 error, the throwing error from the shortstop that both the shortstop will have wanted to be a little bit more on target, and the first baseman, frankly, will have wanted to grab as well. But as we enter the bottom of the 5th, the Beacons in firm control, largely thanks to their dominance on the pitcher's mound. Tim Cianciolo has still faced the minimum. He has surrendered a hit for the first time, but that was wiped off with a double play. What is interesting, though, is that he went through that entire inning and didn't strike anybody out. Beacons had 10 strikeouts, or he had 10 strikeouts through 4, and while he still did face the minimum, did not strike anybody out in that 5th inning, so I guess Lasell can take that away. Thomas Q squares up, but watches that one go for a strike as he pulled back. Not sure why. Well, you do see some pitchers. I remember my high school pitcher. Basically, if you came up there, you were squaring to bunt, and it was obviously a fake, but you squared to bunt the first, sometimes even 2 pitches of every at-bat you had. It was an interesting style, but we've seen the Beacons employ that as this one. Lazy fly ball out to right field, brought in by Devin LaPierre. 1 up, 1 down in the bottom half of inning number 5. Drew Metzdorf, Craig Corliss, next 2 due up in the home half of this inning. Mentioned the Beacons had four players last year who were hitting above 300 as this one's fouled back. Corliss led the way at 361, then Curtis Tyrone hit 319. Thomas Q, who we just saw fly out to right, hit 317, and then Ben Irvine hit 310. Nobody had more than 1 home run for the Beacons last year. Had 5 players with 5. But Craig Corliss did lead the way with 8 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Led the team in slugging at .542. On the pitching side, Alex Amalfi, who we saw in Game 1, was the dominant hurler. 4 starts and 7 appearances, had the ERA under 2, which is obviously fantastic. 1.93 ERA in 28 innings pitched, just allowed 12 hits, 6 earned runs out of 8 total. Mike Doherty, DJ Lopez were the next 2 up on that list. Doherty, ERA of 2.7. Tim Cianciolo, though, last year, 0-2, 5 games, 5 starts, 23 1/3. Allowed 28 hits, 10 earned runs. Astonishingly, he allowed 10 unearned runs. That's always a stat that pitchers hate to see. But Tim Cianciolo had 25 strikeouts last year across his 5 starts. He had 10 in his first 4 innings today. This one chases the Lasell players back into their dugout. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the number 3 man, Drew Metzdorf. Drew out of Burlington, Mass. Another D1 transfer. Mentioned that you have Craig Corliss, who originally transferred from the Saints of Siena. Drew Metzdorf was a Minuteman when he first started his collegiate career out at UMass Amherst. The other D1 transfer is Steve Brookwell, the leadoff man, who was a Wildcat of Villanova. And this is the most important time of the year if you're a Villanova fan. March Madness is here, and boy, has it arrived in spades. Great to see with the drama that's been going on with Major League Baseball, although I'm receiving reports that there is a tentative deal in place between the players and the owners. So we may very well have baseball at the professional level in the next month. But until then, we get college baseball. And frankly, that is, if you want to still say baseball is America's game, well, I'll say college baseball is certainly America's game. And boy, it's great to have fans back in the stands. Great to have a full schedule on slate, even though, thanks to Mother Nature, we've already had some postponements. But thankfully, it wasn't COVID related, so I guess take that as a blessing. 3-2 pitch is grounded to short. Long throw across the diamond. And Metzdorf down on the ground out. Nice throw that time by Ross Audette. 6-4 retired is Metzdorf. Craig Corliss, for the first time today, will come to the plate without a runner on base. RBI single in the first, and then blasted one toward the second baseman, but lined out, and ended up resulting in a double play, 4-6, as leading too far off the bag was Thomas Q, and he got doubled off on the lineout. Craig Corliss, such a strong player. No surprise that he started his collegiate career at the D1 level. But now playing a little bit closer to his native Hopkinton, Mass. 0-1 the pitch. Grounded to second. Snagged. Nearly picked by the first baseman. Takes care of business, does Pierce Clare on the delivery from Bryce Bauman. And a 1-2-3 inning. First one of the day for Lasell. But there is no problem. Eventually it'll come, and Lasell, despite being down 3-0, you got to think they are still in this baseball game. But first and foremost, they have got to get Tim Cianciolo out of there. He's thrown 5. He returns to the hill when we come back. 5 in the books. Beacons 3. Lasers nothing. Tim Cianciolo trots back out to the hill. Mentioned that usually in these early season games, especially because you've had so many cancellations, it's rare to see pitchers go deep. The Beacons don't have anyone throwing too hard out there, if at all. So you got to think that the 6th inning is Cianciolo's, but it'd be interesting to see if they have him go 7. He's obviously on fire right now, but at the same time, it is still the first start of the year, just the second game. And so it is usually uncharacteristic for coaches to let their starters go long early in the season. However, you are also in the midst of a 6-game in 7-day stretch. So I would not be surprised with a doubleheader tomorrow. Maybe this coaching staff for UMass Boston decides, hey, maybe we can stretch him a little bit longer. You have a plan in place. Maybe have him go 5, 6, and then if you have the opportunity to make him go 7, you say, hey, we'll take what we can get here. So we'll see what the game plan is, but we know we have him for at least one more inning. And he has faced the minimum number of batters, 15 up. Just the one hit that was wiped off with a routine double play, 6-4-3. See if he can continue that. Matthew Paharic, Pierce Clare, Devin LaPierre, 7, 8, 9 in the laser order to come to the plate. Here in inning number 6, Beacons 3-6-0, leading 0-1-1. Check down to first. They do say he went, and I would agree with him. But Brendan Eggebrote has to absolutely love what he's seen from his pitching staff to this point. No balls, 2 strikes. The pitch dug out there, and that's one's going to play a one-hopper out to the left fielder, Thomas Q. Good job by Paharic to stay back on that pitch. Mentioned that Cianciolo has not necessarily been overpowering the hitters with speed, more so with location. So Paharic realized that, sat back on the pitch, a little bit lower on the zone, and golfs it out to left field. So a leadoff single for the second straight inning for the Lasers. Squaring to bunt and laying this one down is Pierce Clare. Sidearm to first. Strong throw by Drew Metzdorf. Advancing to second on the sac bunt is Matthew Paharic. So Clare retired on the 5-3 sac.
The right fielder, number 31,
Devin LaPierre, number 9 man, left-handed hitter, steps in to the batter's box, crowding the plate on that right side. His toes are touching the edge of the batter's box. We've seen a lot of the strikeouts today for Cianciolo coming on the inner half of the plate to the right, to the lefties, and the outside part of the plate high to the righties. So he's trying to take that away from Cianciolo and force him to pitch him away. He does so and gets the call. Strike 1. Some nice darting action late on that pitch. Just cuts away over the outside corner of the plate. That's not a good pitch to hit, but it's a beautiful pitch for a strike. 0-1. One man out, runner on second. Lasell trying to get on the board. They lift this one to center, drifting back for it, settling under it, and making the play is Steve Brookwell. Runner holds at second base. So given a ride, but in that 420-foot center field, it is going to take a hefty wallop. Particularly, it's a beautiful day, but still, in the high 40s, low 50s, you're going to have to absolutely thump one to get it out to center field and over the wall. So a routine F8 for Devin LaPierre. 2 men down in the inning. And that brings up Matt Palmer, who is 0 for 2. And they will lift Palmer for a pinch hitter. Jordan Martinez, the true freshman 5'6", out of sunny Naples, Florida, will dig in.
Your attention, please. Pinch hitting for Matt Palmer, number 2, Jordan Martinez.
You hear the PA announcer announce Martinez. So we'll see. Martinez is listed as an infielder, so Mac Palmer is a center fielder. So this may just be a pinch hit situation, and now we're going to see some changes defensively in the bottom half of the 6th. That's a strike. Guy that 5'6" doesn't want that call. He wants that to be a ball. He's in there for speed and to potentially shrink the strike zone. Playing deep in the hole at second base right now is Aiden Blake. He is trying to cut off anything to that side. He's got both feet on the outfield grass. No, it's artificial turf, but still difficult to say otherwise, as everything is turf here. The green part of the artificial grass. Batter calls time. No balls, 2 strikes to Jordan Martinez. Cianciolo, for the first time, dealing with a man in scoring position. Can he get out of it? This one out of the zone. Also a little bit high to the 5'6", 140-pounder. One and 2. Looks back, delivers. Cianciolo tries to jam him, and they call a ball. We've seen the umpire call that for a strike in this game. I believe it was Brookwell in his second at bat that he basically spun away from a pitch on the inside part of the plate that was called for a strike. 2-2, 2 out. Martinez, the pinch hitter, swung on, driven to center, but not deep. Easy catch for Brookwell, and that will retire the side. 6 strong shutout innings for Cianciolo. Just the one hit, but most importantly, no runs. Finally, Lasell strands a runner, but that's a small victory for sure. 3-0 through 5.5 here at Monin Park. As we expected with the pinch hitter in that top half of the 6th inning. Couple of changes, most notably the pitcher. Brendan Zaleski is in to replace C.J. Mills. Mills has the easiest line of the day to read off. One inning pitched, just faced the minimum. No runs, no hits, no walks, no strikeouts, but does the job, sends the Beacons down 1-2-3 in the home side of the 5th inning. Jordan Martinez came in to pinch hit for Mac Palmer. Martinez stays in at second base. Brian Bauman flips with him. So Bauman goes from second base to right field. Devin LaPierre, who was in right field, shifts over to center. Brings up the Beacons in their half of the 6th inning. Aiden Blake, R.J. Menert, Boston Burris. The 3 due up for their team in this inning. Brendan Egebrot has to be very thrilled with how his team has performed. And that Framingham State game, obviously the dominant pitching, but the hitting went along with it. This one has been held a lot tighter. Lasell pitching staff has certainly given up the hits. They've surrendered 6 of them, along with 2 hit batsmen and a walk. So effectively 9 batters reaching base courtesy of the pitching, on top of an error as well. So the Beacons have had no problems getting runners on base, but outside of the 2 in the 1st and the 1 in the 4th, it is still a ball game that Lasell thinks they might be able to swipe. That's another hit through the exact same spot in the infield. That's at least the 3rd time the Beacons have hit that one through the shortstop third baseman gap. This one the softest hit, but it still does the job, as Aiden Blake is on base for the 2nd time today. He's 2 for 3. Triple into the deepest part of the ballpark in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd, and now reaches on a nice soft hit single here in inning number 6. R.J. Menert, 1 for 2, RBI single, and a ground out today. Swings at the first pitch, delivered by Brendan Zaleski. Fouls it back. Zaleski, another one of an outstanding freshman group for this Lasell team. Very young. From Wethersfield, Connecticut, my hometown. Went to Wethersfield High, not my alma mater. No balls and a strike as this one thrown over. But Zaleski continuing his collegiate career. And Newton, though I mentioned that Lasell does not play their home games in Newton. They play and split the field with Brandeis University and Waltham, which is about, maybe 10, 15 minutes, depending on how the traffic works. That's out by the area of the Mass Pike intersection, so you never know exactly how busy it's going to be out there come this time of the day. But about 35, 40 minutes or so right now at this time of day. But why would you want to be anywhere else? Blue skies, sunshine, just some wispy clouds above us. Second game of the year for your UMass Boston Beacons on the Beacon Broadcast Network. This one chopped to third. Need a strong throw across the diamond. They get it. Right on the money that time from Vaughn Larissa. Runner advances on the fielder's choice. So Aiden Blake moves over 90 feet. RJ Menert out 5-3. Sounds like we have a pinch hitter, and we do indeed. Coming in for the first time is Jake Waltman. Stands an impressive 6'3", 225 out of Encinitas, California. So Waltman replaces Burris. True freshman. Swings at the first pitch he sees. Fouls this one off. Waltman is listed as a first baseman, so this could be a straight swap and most likely is a straight swap for Boston Burris. The two certainly of different stature, with Boston Burris standing just 5'10", 185, and Waltman at 6'3", and 40 pounds heavier. 0-1. Runner takes off. Waltman swings and fouls off another one, so having to head back to second base is Aiden Blake. Burris was 0 for 2, though he did score a run. He struck out swinging in the second inning. Then he was the one that hit the routine ball that should have been a double play but was fired wide by the shortstop. And he would eventually come around to score. Advanced to second on the error, then advanced on a fly ball over to third, and then would score on the passed ball. Always the worst if you're a Lasell Laser and you have a guy that advances all 4 bases without a single hit. Fielder's choice, error, fly out, pass ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 man out. Home half of inning number 6. Beacons lead it 3-0 on the Beacon Broadcast Network, part of the Little East Conference Network. This one dribbled to third. Another play made across the diamond nicely by Vaughn Larissa. So Waltman goes down. Runner still in scoring position now with 2 out for Johnny Zerilli. Gianni Zerilli singled, stole second, but was stranded in the second. Then flew out to right his second time. Zerilli was 1 for 5 in that game against Framingham State. Just the single, did strike out twice. It's been all about the pitching to this point. Tim Cianciolo has been absolutely electrifying. Weirdly enough, the last 2 innings he hasn't recorded a strikeout. That's been the longest drought that Beacon pitching has gone without a K through the first game and a half to this point. But still, double-digit strikeouts. Beacons had 2 pitchers record 9 strikeouts against Framingham State, 1 with 3. Alex Amalfi had 9. Dylan Ryan had 9, also let up the 1 run, but still 9 strikeouts, 1 run, 4 innings pitched. You'll take that every day of the week if you're Coach Agabro. And then Ethan Herrera, just the 1 inning. As this one blasted to left, and it is gone. They're calling it gone over the mini monster. And it's 5-0 UMass Boston. It was a question of whether it was fair or foul. Tough to see from this vantage point, but the fans tell it all. And Gianni Zerilli makes it 5-0, and now you feel a lot more comfortable. Outstanding piece of hitting, just taking the pitch as it came and making it 5-0. 2 runs batted in on the play. Aiden Blake gets to trundle home from second. Number 9 hitter comes to the plate. Can breathe a lot easier coming after the home run. Beacons had 2 homers in that first game of the year. Aiden Blake had 1. Drew Metzdorf had 1. Now Gianni Zerilli has 1 as well. As the Beacons add to their lead, it's now 5-0, their 8th hit of the day. And if Lasell thought they were still in it, that's a major blow to their comeback hopes. Beacons do have a player warming. It's very difficult to see that far out into the bullpen in right center. But I would be surprised if Cianciolo comes out. He has done his job. This is later in the season. Maybe you see a guy go past the 6th inning in a shutout 2-hitter, but at the same time, he has more than performed in this game, and now with a 5-run lead, you feel like you can turn it over to the bullpen comfortably. And again, see what you have in this early part of the season. Swung on, just served foul over the fence, out to the parking structure to our right. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Bottom of the 6th inning, Beacons adding 2 more on the Zerilli homer. That is not the first career homer for Zerilli. He did have 1 last year. Only batted .207, but did start 17 of the 18 games in which he'd appeared. Beacons only had 3 players play in all 19. Corliss, Tyrone, and Aiden Blake. As this one sent to center. Routine fly ball, settled under there, and making the play is Devin LaPierre. And that will do it for inning number 6. But the big blow comes off the bat of Gianni Zerilli Jr. The shortstop gets his 2nd home run of his career, adding from the one he had last year, blasting this one out to the deepest part of left field, just getting it fair around that foul pole over the mini monster, and the Beacons lead it 5-0 after 6. Brendan Ferrari into the game for UMass Boston. Coach Agabro will give you Tim Cianciolo's numbers at the next half inning, but he more than did his job and now turns it over to the bullpen. Brendan Ferrari, 5'8" sophomore, 175 pounds, out of Dunstable. This is his first appearance of this season. We only saw him 3 times last year, but he did finish with a 2-0 record. The 5.06 ERA doesn't look too nice, but in 3 appearances, what are you really going to look at in terms of numbers? But Ferrari was 2-0 in his 3 relief appearances, 5 1/3 innings, let up 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 of those were earned, 7 walks, 5 Ks. Did surrender 3 doubles on those 7 hits. But 2 wins, nothing to scoff at, and how he comes out there to hold serve for UMass Boston after a gem of a performance from Tim Cianciolo. The most important things, 6 innings, no runs, 10 strikeouts. He recorded those 10 strikeouts through the first 4 innings, and he faced the minimum through 5. Finally, Lasell got a runner on that was not erased by a double play, but it was stranded at second base as Matthew Paharic couldn't advance past second after he singled to lead off the last inning and then advanced to second on the sac bunt. 2, 3, and 4 due up for Lasell, Bauman, Audette, and Bischoff. We'll see if they make any more changes. The only defensive substitution besides the pitching change is the expected one, Jake Waltman, who went in to pinch hit for Boston Burris, stays in. He is at first. Final third of this baseball game. Beacons 5, Lasell nothing. You're watching the Beacon Broadcast Network Thursday afternoon. Second game of the season. We've got a doubleheader for you tomorrow, coming up first pitch at 4 o'clock against the Northern Vermont Linden Hornets, making their long trip down from one of the most northerly schools in New England, certainly in Vermont, called Northern Vermont for a reason. Originally Linden State, now Northern Vermont Linden. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Beacons have finally made a pitching change. Tim Cianciolo making things very easy. Things going according to script, if not even better. Do you have a couple players warming up for the Beacons? Just throwing, stretching. One throwing hard. You'd think at this point Ferrari probably throws an inning and then you turn it over to the next arm and get some guys in there. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Brian Bauman. 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts swinging to Cianciolo. At this point, the only player in the starting 9 that did not strike out at least once through his first 2 at-bats was Paharik. Easy play for the shortstop. Gobbles it up, fires across. Zerilli, who hit that home run, patrolling the field nicely in the shortstop position. 6-3 the force at first. Ross Audette, 0 for 2, also has an error in the field today. Does Ross. Grounded out 5-3 back in the first, then struck out swinging. Part of the 1-2-3 strikeout swinging in order in inning number 4. I mentioned Paharik is the only starter that didn't strike out today. He grounded to second and had that single in inning number 6. This one low on the throw from Brendan Ferrari. 2 games tomorrow, then the one on Monday for your UMass Boston Beacons before they head down to Texas to take on Concordia University of Texas. Then I mentioned that Lasell has that nine, 10 games down in Fort Myers, Florida for the Lasers. Clips the outside corner. Count runs full. That's one thing we haven't seen a lot of today. Not a lot of full counts. Beacons have basically been mowing down hitters in favorable strike counts. And they've been chasing a lot of pitches early in counts, and a lot of them have turned into runs at this point. 5 of them on 8 hits. First walk surrender today by UMass Boston as Ross Audette heads down to first on the base on balls. Matthew Bischoff, the catcher, steps in. Lasell just trying to get their first run of the season. This is their first game. In addition to the UMass Boston game, they have had a couple of other games postponed due to the weather that we've had over the last week. A couple of snowstorms as well as some rain, making things very difficult. They're supposed to play Suffolk in a doubleheader as well as a single gamer, and those all got postponed. In addition to the UMass Boston game that was supposed to be held to lead off the season back on March the 1st. Bacon's doing a good job of rescheduling their games that were postponed last week quickly before they headed down to Texas. Trying to get as many games in as possible. So you get the MIT game in on Monday. Just off the outside corner. On the pitch to Matthew Bischoff. Ferrari trying to continue the great work done by Tim Cianciolo to start things. The sun begins to sink, but still plenty of daylight. This one lifted high, settling under it. There is room, and it's dropped in foul territory by the third baseman, Metzdorf. It's not an error because it's a foul ball, but boy, it feels like an error for Metzdorf. Makes the count 2-2. The floodlights are coming on. This one in the dirt. That's going to be tough to handle, and it is a wild pitch. Every catcher wants to make that play, but that's tough for Corliss. He tried to get to his right and stop it. Takes an ugly hop by him. Count runs 3-2. Lasell has now the runner in scoring position with just one man out in the away half of the 7th inning. Stretch up coming shortly. Hopefully we will finish this one long before the sun sets. This one flips to the left side. Another opportunity potentially. This time it will escape the confines of play. Ferrari comes set. Working out of the stretch with the runner on. The delivery. Swung on and missed. Goes high. And gets Matthew Bischoff. So the dropped foul pop-up doesn't do any damage. Bischoff still goes down swinging for the second time today. Second out of the inning, recorded by Ferrari, and now it's up to Vaughn Larissa, who was heavily involved in the field last inning. A couple of nice plays across the diamond. Comes in with 2 men out and 1 man in scoring position. Second time that Lasell has had a runner on second. Nobody's got further than that. Tyler Dineza waits in the on-deck circle off to the left. Lasell in the baby blue tops with the white pants. White numbers on the back, trimmed in blue and black. UMass Boston in their black uniforms today. The royal blue numbers on the back trimmed in white with the white trim around the shirt sleeves as well. It's great to be able to be wearing short sleeves today. The craziness of New England for those of you parents and fans out there who are not traditionally from this area. If I told you we had a beautiful snowstorm yesterday that coated all the trees in white, and now you're out there today wearing short sleeves and playing baseball on a beautiful diamond like this, you say, what the heck's going on there? That is called strike 3. A stunned look from Vaughn Larissa. Frankly, even with my bias, I frankly agree with him. But it is 7th inning stretch time. The Beacons have gone 7 full innings of shutout baseball. And we now head to the bottom of the 7th. 5-0. UMass Boston on top of Lasell. New pitcher for the Lasell University Lasers is Jason Giagrand. He replaces Brendan Zaleski, who went 1. Faced 5, let up 2 hits, including the homer to Zerilli. That made it a 5-0 game. Also have the numbers on Tim Cianciolo. We'll get that in a minute. As digging in for UMass Boston is Steve Brookwell, leadoff hitter. Top of the order, 1, 2, 3. Brookwell, Q, and Metzdorf in there for UMass Boston. Cianciolo, that's 6 full innings, faced 19 batters. He struck out 10 of them. To my understanding, he did not let up the walk. It was just the walk in the last inning, and I am correct there. So 10 strikeouts, no walks. Did allow the 2 hits, but neither of them scored, and he was clinical. No wild pitches, pass balls, or anything of the like. So an outstanding stat line for Tim Cianciolo. That one looked like it might have tipped off the bat. It did not, though. Steve Brookwell forces the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 5th pitcher of the day for Lasell. This one's high, and it's ball 4. It has not been a terrible day for Billy Uberti's squad. It's just been a couple of untimely hits that have been allowed in the first, and most notably the big blast over the left field mini monster by Zerilli. Brookwell, after the walk, is just talking things over. Doesn't look like it's a pinch runner situation. Looks more like a strategy session. Definitely difficult in these situations. You think, all right, it's early in the season. What's the purpose of this in a 5-0 baseball game? But there will come a point in a 5-0 baseball game where that runner may mean something. And you got to make sure that you run everything correctly. Top of the order. So what is Thomas Q doing? What signs is he taking? Is Steve Brookwell looking to go here? All these games early in the season are meant to put different things in effect. You take certain risks you wouldn't take at other times to see if you can take those risks later in the season. Brookwell leads off first. Thomas Q digs in. This one in the dirt. Handled nicely by the catcher, Matthew Bischoff. Straightens up his right leg guard in the 1-0 count. See who UMass Boston sends out there for the bottom half of the 7th. Ferrari did the job. Just the walk. But in addition to that, 2 more strikeouts get added to the UMass Boston strikeout total, which at this point is into the mid-30s through 2 games. This one driven high, deep to left. There's room, though. It's gathered in front of the track. 1 hop to the shortstop who cuts it off. Looked good off the bat from Thomas Q, but no trouble out there for Matthew Baharic. Drew Metzdorf steps into the right-hand hitter's battery's box. 1 out here in the 7th. Mason Stelf with you for Game 2 of the UMass Boston season. Got a doubleheader for you tomorrow against Northern Vermont Linden. Then a nice weekend off for UMass Boston. No games scheduled over the weekend. But then we will come back on the opposite side for that Monday makeup against MIT before UMass Boston heads on their trip down to Texas. Austin, Texas to be exact. Concordia University, the host for a 4-game series next weekend. This one tough hops the third baseman, and he throws it away. It gets into the outfield. Runner's going to advance 1 base from second to third. No more from there. Difficult from the third baseman, but he is going to get charged with the error. Tough for him to eat that play. Tries to make it, but 1 hops the second baseman who can't pick it. And so an E5 allows Metzdorf to get to first and Brookwell to advance all the way to third. Craig Corliss has another opportunity to drive in some runs. Has an RBI single in the first, lasered one to second. That resulted in a double play. Runner takes off, goes all the way down there. No way they were going to get that one. Runner stays put at third, though. Brookwell not taking the risk, but Metzdorf heads down to second on the stolen base. And now it's second and third, and just one man out for the most dangerous man inside Monin Park. Aiden Blake is on deck, and he is equally potent in the batter's box. This one chopped to third. Runner goes from third. They throw home, and they are going to get him in time. Steve Brookwell thought he got his hand in there. He is stunned. He thought he beat the throw. But they're going to say the tag was in time, so the fielder's choice, 5-2, nabs Brookwell at home. So Corliss reaches on the fielder's choice, but does not get the job done. Drew Metzdorf advances from second to third on the play. And Aiden Blake will now be the last hope for the Beacons in their seventh inning to try and add some more insurance runs. This one high and away. Jordan Giagrand, the fifth hurler of the day for Lasell, trying to get out of trouble. They have gotten themselves into some jams in this one, but they have gotten out of it more times than they've surrendered. After this pitch, we do have a replay of that play at the plate. Tough to see from this angle with the umpire, but maybe we'll see more from the replay angle as this one's skied to center, or make it left. Center fielder is ranging over, but it is the left fielder who makes the play. As we head to break, we will bring you that replay right here. See the play at the plate. Get that side angle. See if he's in there. That is a tough play. And I think the umpire assumed the ball beats him by a good amount, but I think that's really tough to see. Brookwell was convinced he was in there. Now, from third, they throw home, and they're going to get him in time. Is playing with fire for sure, and in a 5-0 game, it might not mean much, but still good to see that angle, and you can't quite see the tag, but it is a bang-bang play that was certainly a lot closer than I think the umpire may have even believed it was, as he didn't make the typical close call out call. He just made it as if it was a routine play at the plate, made the call out. But certainly Brookwell was sat there stunned for about 5-10 seconds before he headed back to the dugout. We take a 30-second break. Beacons do not score, but they still lead it 5-0 after 7. Ferrari gets a second inning of work. He will face numbers 6, 7, and 8 in the Lasell batting order. As it is, it's Tyler Dineza, the left-handed hitting DH, then Paharic and Clare. Beacons shutting out the Lasers through 7. They've just needed the 2 pitchers to this point. Cianciolo, 6 strong innings, where he struck out 10 through 4, faced the minimum through 5, and just allowed 2 hits through 6. No walks, just the 2 hits allowed, and most importantly, no runs on the board as the Beacons now 16 innings of pitching, just 1 run allowed, and that was late when the game was well out of hand to Framingham State on Monday. Called strike. The umpire's strike zone has significantly grown as this game has gone on. This game's not over yet, so usually you don't see the strike zone grow like that until it's about, I'd say probably 8 or 9-0. But then again, trying to get this game in before the sun goes down. Not that it's necessary, as the floodlights have gone on and the sun continues to set behind us. But a fantastic day of baseball. Great to be back here at Monin Park. After just 6 games were played here last season. Remember, the Beacons had some of the strictest COVID protocols, and that benefited the university greatly. It was tough as a fan, tough as a baseball player, but in the grand scheme of things, benefited the university. But weren't able to play any games here until the latter stages of April, and only played 6 games all year last year in friendly confines. So effectively now 2 years since the Beacons have actually played meaningful baseball for extended periods of time, and 3 years entirely since you put the COVID pandemic behind you. So since 2019, it's been tough to see your Beacons here at home. And finally, a little bit of normalcy. Not back yet, but it certainly feels a lot better to have fans in the stands, a full schedule of games ahead of you, and an outstanding opportunity for the Beacons to chase another Little East Conference title. And you can see with this pitching, if this can stack up throughout the rest of the season, I will always say you can have the best hitters in the game, but if you have a great pitching staff, particularly at the collegiate level, which is something that comes at a premium, elite college pitching is almost impossible to top. 1 ball, 2 strikes. No men out. Runner at first base, excuse me. Leading off first is Dineza. Paharic takes that one in the dirt. Dineza getting that 3rd hit of the day. And that's strike 3. Strike 3 looking. Not a lot of protest from Paharic. Beacons' 13th strikeout of the day. So they're not going to get that 21 again, although they were on pace for it through 3 innings. But they continue to find the strike zone with regularity. Just the 1 walk the entire game to this point. Ross Audette walked back in the 7th. But the Beacons have been so strong. They walked 4 in the first game. Just 1 here in the second. The strikeout count currently, now that you add that one in, Beacons 34 strikeouts, 5 walks to this point in the season. Does it mean a whole heck of a lot in the grand scheme of things? Probably not. But it shows that you got off to an outstanding start on the pitcher's mound, and it has translated as well to the bats. 3 home runs through 2 games. Beacons only had 5 homers all last year, so 3 through 2 after 5 through 19 is pretty outstanding turnaround. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 man out. Beacons trying to pitch the shutout after a nice 1-run game that they allowed against Framingham State. That one's in the dirt, but swung through. Pierce Clare strikes out swinging. And Ferrari gets his 4th strikeout. Devin LaPierre, the 9-hitter. Last hope for the Lasers in this 8th inning. They have been completely nullified by UMass Boston pitching. Just 3 hits, all of them singles. Had the single back in inning number 5 by Matthew Bischoff that just got through the right side. Paharic the same in the 6th and 1 here in the 8th. Easy play for the left fielder. Settles under it, snags it into the glove, and that will do it. Through 7.5, UMass Boston in full control of this one. It's 5-0 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Alec Lachniet comes into the game. Tall right-handed pitcher for this Lasell team. Another freshman, lanky 6'2", 195 out of Windsor, Connecticut. Went to Windsor High, my dad's alma mater. And he will deal with a UMass Boston 3 of Menert, Waltman, and Zerilli, assuming no changes are made by Coach Eggebro. It is R.J. Menert. 1 for 3, has grounded out twice to the third baseman. Those two ground outs bookend the single that he had back in inning number 4. Did not score. Got doubled off or got beat on the fielder's choice at second base. First pitch from Alec is a strike, as is the second one as he turns up the heat, blows the high cheese past R.J. Menert. No balls, 2 strikes. And they get him looking, so he goes from the high fastball to the outside corner, perfectly located. Strikeout looking for R.J. Menert. 1 for 4 on the day for R.J. Brings up Jake Waltman for his second at bat. He grounded to third his first time. Came in to pinch hit for Boston Burris back in the 6th and took over at first base for Boston. This one low. Blocked out front by the catcher Bischoff. Beacons now 3 defensive outs away from improving to 2-0 on the season. 5 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Convincingly besting no runs, 3 hits, 2 errors for Lasell. Lasell heads to Fort Myers, Florida for 9 or 10 games in a 1-week stretch against a number of different opponents, including a couple northeastern teams like St. Michael's, then a couple of teams from Wisconsin, as well as Florida. 2-1, the count. Lachniet delivers just high. Might have been a little inside as well. Nobody's left, though, this point in the year. Just the fact that you're seeing your Beacons at home, you're not going to miss a moment of it. And what a beautiful day it has become. This one, long run, it just barely clears the fence. Is nice 30, 40-yard run, all for naught that time by Pierce Clare. Count stays full, 3 balls, 2 strikes on the Beacon first baseman, Jake Waltman. The 3-2. Outside, ball 4. And Waltman heads down to first. Waltman reads base for the first time in his collegiate career. Did not see him in that first game against Framingham State. So his first time on the base paths as a collegiate athlete comes via the walk. Beacons are making a pinch running change. It's Mariano Jimenez out of Waltham, Mass. So Jimenez is running. Also have Luke Levitt on deck. This one blistered down the left side, unable to be handled by the third baseman Larissa. And this one's going to skip away, not handled on the cutoff by the shortstop, and both runners advance a base. Unforced error, second error of the day by the shortstop as he couldn't handle the cutoff, boots it to his right. And Mariano Jimenez goes from first all the way to third. Gianni Zerilli with another hit goes from first to second.
So we got 12 hitting now. Who just ran to second base? Wait, he's trying to get rid of like that.
Ethan Herrera is out. Luke Levitt is in. The 5'9", 170-pounder from Manchester by the Sea. Definitely one of the more fun town names to say, and I think you can probably figure out, if you're not from Massachusetts, what exactly part of the state Manchester by the Sea is. So Levitt digs in, right-handed hitter, has runners in second and in scoring position at second and third. And just the one man out in the bottom of the eighth, trying to make this a much uglier scoreline for the Lasers. Lachniet's going to get a visit from the pitching coach, trying to settle him down. You have the race open at first base, but with the 9-hitter, you're hesitant to pitch around the 9-hitter to get to Steve Brookwell in the leadoff spot and deal with a guy who started his collegiate career back at Villanova. Now a graduate student here with UMass Boston. Meeting is broken up by the home plate umpire. And Levitt will dig in. The left-hander, another player we didn't see against Framingham State, as UMass Boston didn't make too many changes in that first game. Boston Burris didn't start game one. He started game two. We haven't seen Henry score today. Kevin Herrera, we haven't seen either. Players that came off the bench in game one. Everything else has been pretty much the same. No balls and a strike. Runners on second and third. Beacon's trying to really put this one to bed and bust it open in the bottom of the eighth. This one gloved. Right as it hit the turf. Count evens, 1 ball and a strike. As the sun continues to set, get some nice colors off to our left. UMass Boston trying to improve to 2-0. And they are closing in on that. This one swung on. This will get at least 1 run in on a sac fly. Fielded by the right fielder. Runners will score without too much difficulty. 1 moves to third. 1 crosses the plate. It's a sac fly for Luke Levitt. And the Beacons extend their lead to 6-0. Jimenez scores. Zerilli heads to third. Does the jump. Every insurance run counts. And now Steve Brookwell digs in. Another insurance run. Beacons up 6 now. They led it 10-1. 10-0 at one point against Framingham State. Ended up winning that one 10-1. And if this is the score it finishes at, through 2 games, 16-1 differential, not too shabby. Strike called, lower third of the plate to the leadoff hitter. Brookwell was hit by the first pitch he saw today. Made his way around to score in the first. Struck out swinging back in the fourth. Walked, got all the way around, and then he was gunned down at the plate in what was a very close play. He thought he was safe. Home plate umpire called him out. There's no coach's challenges in D3 baseball, so that was the play, and it stood as called. 1-2 to the leadoff man for your Beacons. Swung on, driven deep. This could find the gap. It will. One hops the wall, and the player in center field did not read it well. A long run to try and get it down now by Jordan Martinez. A triple for Steve Brookwell. Drives in the run from third. Easy play. Could have crawled home. Mario Jimenez. And the Beacons lead it 7-0 on their 10th hit of the day. So difficult to read the play out there. It hit right below the 379 sign, caromed away from Jordan Martinez, and there was nothing he could do. Devin LaPierre, excuse me. Devin LaPierre out in center, couldn't play. That's the second time he's gotten beat on either side of center field. He was one of the ones that got caught out when he was out in right field, trying to play it off the right center field carom in the triangle early in the game, and now gets beat off the 379 sign, and it pings off to the right and allows Brookwell what would have been a double easily to make it to third. This one sails behind the batter. Wild pitch to be sure, and it's 8-0 UMass Boston as Brookwell scores for the second time today. So bases now empty. Beacons have done their damage. They score 3 more times. Unfortunate for Thomas Q that he now doesn't have the opportunity for the RBI because of the wild pitch. But if that's the only sour grape from this game, the Beacons will take that every time. High into the air, foul territory, and it's hauled in by the first baseman, Claire. That will do it for the 8th inning. UMass Boston gets 3 runs. They do that on just a couple of hits because they also have a walk and a sac fly. 3 runs, 2 hits. You got the error on the shortstop and nobody left. We head to the 9th inning. Beacons looking to improve to 2-0. They lead it 8-0 over Lasell. Nick Palma takes to the hill to finish things off for head coach Agabro and the Beacons, who lead at 8-0. Luke Levitt stays out and right after he replaced Ethan Herrera. Nick Palma comes in. Mario Jimenez pinch ran for Jake Waltman. Now Palma takes over at first base. Brendan Ferrari goes 2 innings. Most importantly, keeps the shutout alive. Did strike out 4. Faced 8 batters, did walk 1. But those 4 strikeouts continuing what is now a 14 strikeout day for UMass Boston pitching. Just the 1 hit allowed along with that walk for Ferrari, but nobody came across to score. Maintaining the shutout through 8 innings of play. We are at the top of the 9th inning. Lasell has their top 3 of the order. Jordan Martinez came in to replace Mac Palmer as a pinch hitter in the 6th, flew out to center, and then took over at second base. So this is his second at-bat. Then Brian Bauman and Ross Audette, the first 3 up for the Lasell Lasers, trying to avoid getting shut out in their season opener. Again, we will be back on the air tomorrow, about quarter to 4, excuse me, for the first of a doubleheader against the Hornets of Northern Vermont Linden, then back on Monday against MIT. Lasers fans will have to wait a little bit of time before they get to see their team again, as they will hop on a plane and head down to Fort Myers, Florida, where they will play Sunday, doubleheader against Pitt Bradford Then 2 against Defiance. Wisconsin Stout on Tuesday. St. Michael's Wednesday. Wisconsin Stout again on Thursday. Then double against Skidmore to wrap up their Fort Myers, Florida trip. So no rest for the weary in college baseball. But that's exactly how the players like it. They want to be out there on the ball field every single day. And as fans, we would love to see them every single day. And in this early part of the season, you basically get to do that. And the Beacons fans have been thoroughly pleased as we now close in on a 2-0 day, or a 2-0 start. That one rides inside and hits the leadoff man, Jordan Martinez. Beacons have been hit by pitches twice. That's the first time that Beacon pitching has hit a Lasell player. Brian Bauman gets into the box. Lasell has had looks, not necessarily wholehearted looks at run scoring, but they have gotten some runners on base over the last couple of innings and just could not push anyone across. High. Just tails away a little bit here. It's been a quick ball game so far. Beacon's just trying to finish this one off. Boy, would they love the shutout. Be a 3-pitcher shutout. Cianciolo, Ferrari, and now Thomas Kiersey. To finish things off, the 5'11 junior from Cohasset. Had the 2-2 count before he hit Martinez. Behind in the count 1-0 to Bauman. This one catches the outside corner of the zone. Bauman seems to be okay with it. Looks down the third baseline to his coach. Gets the signs. Martinez with that small stature taking the big lead. We'll see if they try and make him run. Put things in motion. 8-0, why not? Strike 2 poured in right down the center. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Beacon pitching has struck out at least 1 batter in all but 2 innings. They didn't strike anybody out in the 5th and the 6th. This one whipped foul the other way, out toward the parking structure. But 2 strikeouts in the 1st, 3 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th, nothing in the 5th and 6th, 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th. So not only have the Beacons struck out players in 6 of the 8 innings to this point, they have struck out multiple lasers in 6 of 8 innings. Totaling 14 strikeouts as this one sails wide. Count levels 2-2. On the day, Brian Bauman 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts swinging, and a ground out to the shortstop. The pitch inside and low. Flitting his feet away and getting out of the way that time was Bauman. Count is full. Martinez has not looked like running in this at bat, but with 3-2 the count, do you try and get aggressive? It's an 8-0 game. There's nothing necessarily to be gained by making him run, but at the same time, it's not as if this game is close enough where it makes a huge difference, you would think. He stays put. It's ball 4. And it's runners on first and second and nobody out. So a hit by pitch and a walk to back-to-back batters to start things off for Thomas Kiersey. It's a long, slow walk out there for the coach. We'll see. I don't see anybody headed to the wall. Is there going to be a pitching change here? I don't think so. It's just trying to calm the player down. A situation like this, you'd prefer to see him try and work out of a jam like this, especially early in the season, than just yank him here and lower his confidence. If he can work out of this, this could work wonders in a future game. It's 8-0. Might as well see. Make him battle. He's been in both counts. He just couldn't finish them. Hit the first guy, walked the second guy after being level in both counts. Ross Audette crouches in there. 0 for 2 with a walk in his last at bat. Takes the first pitch right down the gut for strike 1. Matthew Bischoff on deck. Vaughn Larissa in the hole. UMass Boston doesn't really have anybody warming. So, for now anyway, this is Thomas Kiersey's to get in and out of. Kicks, fires, fouled off, and Kiersey has the 0-2 count in his favor. 6 strong from Tim Cianciolo. 10 strikeouts, followed by Brendan Ferrari's 2 innings with 4 Ks. 14 strikeouts, just 1 walk between the pair. But a walk and a hit by pitch have given Lasell just the slightest bit of life here in the top of the final frame. Fouled straight back into the protective netting that lines home plate at Monin Park. Long look in to the catcher Corliss. Swung on and missed on the breaking pitch. That one's filthy. Really was working the fastball and then takes a good 8 to 10 miles per hour minimum off of that one. And Ross Audette just waves at it for his second strikeout of the day. First out of the inning, Matthew Bischoff comes to the plate. Lasell did have a runner on base in the 5th. Couldn't do anything with that. Runner in scoring position in the 6th and 7th, but nothing there either. Strike. And you can just see a little bit of a different zip to the pitches, too. Kiersey gets that strikeout, gets the breaking ball working. Now he feels confident in his fastball. Every pitch builds off the previous one. If you're struggling with the fastball, but you dip a breaking ball in there, then you go back to the fastball, and now just look, there's an extra 1 to 2 inches of tail in the fastballs now. And everything seems to be working a little bit faster, quicker. The signs are coming in faster. You're motoring through, and you can hopefully finish off this baseball game. The 0-2. Strike 3. Yep. Caught the outside corner. Freezing Bischoff. And once again, the Beacons not only strike out 1, they strike out 2 lasers. That's the 16th of the day for Beacon pitching after 21 on Monday. Do the math on that. 37 strikeouts through 8 2/3 in this one. Final batter, potentially for Lasell, is Vaughn Larissa. He's been strong over there at third base for the most part. Did have the 1 error as he couldn't field it cleanly and then sent one by the second baseman. But he has been peppered a lot over there at the hot corner. But 0 for 3 today. 2 strikeouts. 1 backwards, 1 forwards. Also grounded out to the first baseman. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thomas Kiersey trying to give the Beacons the shutout. Currently outscoring their opposition on the year 18-1. Heading into a doubleheader tomorrow with Northern Vermont Linden. 2 balls and a strike. All things hold, Tim Cianciolo will get his 3rd win over the last 2 seasons. Was 2-0 last year. 1-0. Hopefully, just 1 batter away. That's a strike. 1 more strike. And Lasell will get blanked 8-0 by your Beacons. But Cianciolo would improve to 1-0. Chris O'Connor and his leadoff role in the rotation would fall to 0-1. That will do it. Strike 3. Kiersey gets the visit from the coaching staff. Then he settles down, strikes out the side, and the Beacons win it in 2 hours and 29 minutes by a score of 8-0 over the Lasell Lasers. No runs, no hits, no errors. It was a walk and a hit by pitch that got the 2 men on, but Larissa swings through. The Beacons finish this game how they started, with a strikeout, and they win this one by a final score of 8-0. An outstanding performance by UMass Boston today. They improved to 2-0 on the young season. Lasell falls to 0-1 after their first game of the year. Now they head to Fort Myers. The Beacons are home tomorrow for a doubleheader. First pitch time scheduled for 4 o'clock against the Hornets of Northern Vermont Linden. We take you through the lines. Beacons, 8 runs on 10 hits, no errors. Lasell Falls, no runs, 3 hits, 3 errors. An outstanding day overall. Beacons, double-digit hits. The great hit that really broke this game open, the 2-run home run back in the 6th inning by Gianni Zarilli Jr. as he blasted one over the wall, just keeping it fair down the left field line and doing just enough to keep it in play, getting the 2-run home run. That gave the Beacons at the time a 5-0 lead. They would add 3 more in the 8th, and they win this one on a Thursday afternoon by a score of 8-0. We take a look at the upcoming schedule for UMass Boston. We've taken you through it a couple of times, but Northern Vermont Linden tomorrow in a doubleheader, MIT Monday, and then down to Texas. Austin will play host to Concordia University and your Beacons in a 4-game set next weekend. We take a look at our outstanding production crew. We won't look at that today, but we can still take you through it with Allie Crawford and MJ Murphy holding down the fort on our production team and everybody else here at UMass Boston. My name is Mason Stout saying so long today from Monin Park. In a shutout, the Beacons win it by a final score